Hello, hopefully this is on. Hello, and welcome to the first Unofficial Elder Scrolls Pages Patreon live stream. This is something I've been thinking about trying for a bit, but for some reason this year has been more busy than usual, and I guess I needed a little persuasion to do it. I'm not exactly the most talkative or open individual, so hopefully this will go all right. Um, let's see. Yeah, so this is meant to be a live stream Q&A. So if there's any questions, feel free to put them in the YouTube live chat or the Patreon comments, and hopefully I'll catch them. Or otherwise, I'll try to catch them afterwards. So first of all, a big thank you to all our patrons who made this possible. Um, when we first thought of doing Patreon, I guess 2 years ago, I wasn't quite sure how it would be received. But it turned out great. Lots of people joined, having a great time interacting with everyone, uh, having fun picking rewards and doing all that stuff. So looking forward to the next few years of Patreon as well. I do a little bit of news. There's not too much to update for Patreon, but just for the latest. So all the physical rewards, all the suppliers for the physical rewards have been chosen, and basically everything's ready to order. We're just waiting to get as many Patreons subscribed as possible. We don't want to order too few items and not be able to fulfill all the rewards. So I have to check what I did last year, but I think we'll probably order or start end of September, October, and start shipping end of October, November-ish. But I'll update you with Patreon post as that happens. Um, yeah, so that's for figurines. Figurines starting soon, so there should be a post on Patreon soon, so you can start thinking about what characters or pets or mounts you want to do, and check the post in terms of what information I need to get from you in order to get your figurine made. We'll talk a little bit more about figurines later in the live stream. And the digital wallpaper is in progress. We used the same artist we did for the game mat, and if any of you saw the weight screen, this is currently a concept art. So if you remember way back, probably in the spring, we did a post looking for comments, and this is a scene of Saint Denis in Morrowind, if I got that right. So this is just a concept. She'll get a more refined color concept soon, but it is looking great so far. Can't wait to see the final version. So that's coming along nice. It should be another month or so before we get that out to you. And if there's any questions about rewards or when you're getting them or if you're qualified, just message me on Patreon. Happy to look that up for you and confirm to make sure you're getting the stuff you think you should be getting. Oh, and reminder, check your address in Patreon, especially if you moved or if you're thinking of moving, make sure that's correct. And any Orcish or above, make sure you get your shirt sizes to me, or if they've changed since last year. Yeah, so I thought I don't have too many things to go over, but I thought I'd just sort of introduce myself. As I mentioned, I'm Dave. I'm the founder and creator of the Unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. Um, I'm Canadian. I grew up in Quebec. Et oui, je parle un petit peu de français, not much French. I currently live in the Toronto area. I've lived there for a long time. Gosh, 20, 30 years now. So, and so my background, my education background is actually I have a physics degree. So that comes in really useful for all this computer stuff. But no, yeah, so I started in physics, and I went into more of an engineering job after university, and I started developing vehicles like this. This is a tool for inspecting water pipelines using magnetic fields. So I did that for 10 or 12 years before the Uesp started to get needing my full-time attention, and since 2013 now. So since the past 8 years, I've been doing UESP full time. Yeah, just talk a little about the UESP history before we get to questions. Uh, the UESP started as a Daggerfall FAQ, so FAQ, FAQ, frequently asked questions. So this one. So it started as a Daggerfall FAQ way back in 94-ish. So I played Arena and fell in love with it. And you know, the internet back then was only Usenet, which is basically just text forums, and FAQs, FAQs were frequently done for all games, and there was none for Daggerfall, which wasn't out yet. So I decided to start it. So that's the origin, I guess the start of the UESP. So I did that for a time. The text FAQ, so this text FAQ, all text. Once the web started, the text FAQ turned into a very simple web page, which is still available. Note it's best viewed in Netscape 1.1, so hopefully you still have that browser installed. And shortly after that, we kind of thought, oh, well, instead of just doing just Daggerfall, why don't we make a page for all the Elder Scrolls games? Of course, at that time, all the Elder Scrolls games, there was only two. There was Arena and Daggerfall, which wasn't out yet, or just came out. But so we started the first unofficial Elder Scrolls pages. Let's get that one. So the very first start of the UESP. And this is basically how it looked for a long time. You can see the last few posts are in the sort of the start of 2005, and that's when we moved to the wiki format, which we still have today. Yeah, so then the wiki so we started the wiki in 2005, and I started full time doing UESP full time in 2013. So 8 years. It flew by. I didn't think it was that long, but yeah, it's 8 years. So there's a couple questions, on the Patreon post, which I'll get to first. So there's one from this one loves. I'll probably say this wrong. Okatsu. He said, aside from being a huge fan of the games, what else inspired you to take on the task of creating UESP? That's a good question. I mean, obviously, love of the game, love of Arena, and looking at Daggerfall. But I guess I just like creating things. So whether it's creating things on the computer or in computer games, so creating things on the computer with programming. I've been programming since I was 12. Or in computer games, so you know, my favorite computer games are things like, excuse me, you know, Minecraft, or things where you're building stuff. Or hobbies like woodworking or metalworking, where I'm building stuff. I love doing stuff like that. So I guess it was just that form of creating something which hadn't been created before, and I've always had great love of that, and still do. And another question from Oaksnutzel: how did you start understanding to collate the information? For example, did you start with something like, let's start with Daggerfall and list NPCs first? Yeah, so remember when we started USP, there was only one game out, Arena. And Daggerfall, I'm not sure if we started before Daggerfall came out or after, but either way, there was just the two games. And it wasn't an exhaustive reference at first like the UESP is now. It was more of hints and tips and very focused information. And of course, at the time, it was just me writing. I would get submissions from people or see stuff online and add it to it, but it was all very short stuff. So more of the comprehensive, list all the NPCs, list all the cities. It came later when it moved to a wiki format. We got more people, excuse me, more people working on it, because you list all the NPCs, and well, Daggerfall that would take a while, or Morrowind or Arena. Yeah, it's a mind staggering task. It takes a lot of people to do all that. More questions from Baratron. So if you didn't know, Baratron is our guild master on our ESO PCNA server. So a big shout out to her. I haven't run the guild in a long time, since basically the first year of ESO, and it's a full-time job. So kudos to her. So hi Dave, is UESP your only / main job? Yeah. So as I mentioned, USP has been my main job, only job, basically since 2013. I've been doing it full time, and working here in my basement. And say full, yeah, I do this full time. I mean, I have a family, but it really sucks up your time. You can easily spend 40, 60, 80 hours a week, which is not sustainable. But I try to balance my work life with my real life as much as possible. What other hobbies do you have apart from video games? Uh, yeah, I'm kind of a jack of all trades in many things. I like doing lots of things, mainly related to creating. So, woodworking. I don't do a lot of it, but I like doing it. Metalworking, I even do less of it, but I like doing it and learning about it. And uh, sports, I really like ultimate frisbee. I haven't done that much the past 2 years for some reason, but yeah. So yeah, those are my main hobbies besides video games, which take a lot of my time. What video games do you enjoy other than the Elder Scrolls series? Uh, I don't play too many games these days. Not like when I was, back in the university days, a single. But lately I've been playing games where you're creating stuff. Minecraft, Factorio, which is a really time sucker. You can really spend a couple hours in that without realizing time goes by. Uh, Gosh, I tried to get into Elite Dangerous. It's really fun, but not very good at it. What's the other one? Oh, Satisfactory. Again, really fun. Not that good at it. I haven't played. I play ESO a little bit, but haven't played very much lately. I mean, I do so much work related to Elder Scrolls. It's sometimes not fun. It's more fun to play other games. Another question from Baratron. Do you think that UESP would be culturally different if you were Canadian? Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I don't quite know the answer to that. I mean, there's the thing that Canadians are always really super polite, right? And I guess I sort of take after that. So, ever since we moved to the wiki format, I've always considered USP to be a community-run resource. I mean, I might technically own it, and pay the bills and make all the money from it, but a lot of the details and how it's run and what's added to it and how it's added to it is based on what the community says. And a good example of that is Patreon. Uh, uh, I came up with I thought about doing Patreon a couple of years ago, but I wasn't quite sure, and waited a bit, and then sort of brought it to the community slowly, and they thought it was a good idea and went on from there. If the community in general thought it wasn't, I wouldn't have done it. I mean, it's just that simple, isn't it? It's so things like that might may have been in part due to me being Canadian. So let's see. I saw a few other questions in chat and other places. Let's just check there. So there's a oh, hi Veratron. So there's a question from Monet Lamia. Said, I'm new to Patreon. I saw something about future hiring. Wonder if that might be available or even volunteering. Well, there's always volunteering on the wiki. Where's the wiki? There's always work to do on the wiki. So I don't do very much wiki editing. I haven't done a lot of wiki editing in a long time. I do, just taking care of the back end and programming and all the other stuff takes most of my time. But there's always stuff to do. If you want, you just go to how to contribute and get started there, or check it on the Discord. Ask in Discord what's needing to be done. People can tell you lots of stuff that needs to be done in terms of that. In terms of hiring, we're right now only high full-time employees myself and AKB, who does all the social media stuff, because I'm really not good at social media, so you don't want me doing that. Um, we have limited funds for future employment, but it's always something we're considering. I mean, it really just depends on how much money there is and how the site grows. Um, I'm very conservative in terms of how much money how much we spend. I don't want to spend 100% of what's available, because the ad revenue fluctuates a lot from year to year. So this year might be really good. Next year might be half of what we get this year. It's really impossible to tell. So I like to keep a little bit of a buffer on that. And if there is anything, we'll probably post it on social media or on the site to let you know. A question from Skylar Armstrong. What kept the passion to keep this going on so long? Uh, that's a good question. Uh, what I mean, part of that is I like creating. So in terms of the USP, there's always new things to create. I mean, I mentioned I don't do a lot of wiki stuff since we moved to the wiki, you know, 16 years ago. There's a lot of programming. There's a lot of backend stuff. There's always new stuff. There's always ways to improve the old stuff. Since I messed up in messed up in some way in making it the first time, so I really enjoy that part of the work. If you look, actually, there are times where I take breaks, or I get, sure what the word is, tired. If you look at way back when, this is back when I was doing the site full time. If you go back and look at that, there's lots of gaps, several months long gaps where I don't post anything or post very little. Part of that because I was working full time at another job, more than full time, traveling around the world. For example, I was working in Libya for 2 years, early 2001. The internet in Libya back then wasn't very good, so I did very little updating of the site back then. Or back when I was doing the site just myself, I had a full time job, 9 to 5 or more, and coming home and working several hours on the site, just after a while it gets quite exhausting. So I would take weeks or months break. These days it's a little better, because I am doing it full time. I mean, I don't have a day. This is my day job and my night job and my weekend job sometimes. But since it is my day job and I make money from it, to pay the bills, I kind of have to do it. So that's a good motivation for a lot of stuff there. Amia Lombardi asked, is there a USB app, or have you thought about making one? There is a USB app we made about a year and a half ago, but we're actually working on one right now. We've been, excuse me, I guess it's been 2 months in development and probably another 2 months left before its release, aiming for October, November. Hopefully we'll get a preview release in Patreon, so you guys can check it out before it's released and get some feedback on that. The current app is USB mobile on the Android Play Store. It's only on Android. The new app will also be the same app. It'll just be a lot better. Look for news on that in the coming weeks and months. All right. Looking for more questions, if there's any. So, actually, I didn't forget, but I wanted to wait until last, was Baratron's question about the 3D printed figurines that we're doing for the Glass and Daedric tiers this year. So I'm sure people would appreciate any insight you have as to how they will be created from our characters. Yeah, so that's a little complicated. It sort of depends on the game, but I'll give a quick overview, starting with Elder Scrolls Online, which is the most complicated. Uh, we don't really have the model references, so we have to what's the term? Rip the meshes from the game when the game's running. So basically, run the game. There's another app, another program that runs and grabs all the 3D meshes. Then we have to put those meshes back together. It's a little hard because the meshes are all jumbled up, textures are all jumbled up, and not that the meshes are jumbled up, but they're not ready for 3D printing. They're fine for looking at the computer game, but for 3D printing, you need certain mesh quality. You can't have self-intersecting meshes. You need a certain mesh resolution. So there's a lot of manual fix-up required. There's also geometry. We can't 3D print like translucent or semi-transparent materials. We can't print those. So you have to remove them or modify the textures. Really thin materials you have to remove or make thicker, stuff like that. I guess that applies to the other games too. But for like Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, they're a bit easier. We can rip them while the game's running, but we also have access to all the NIF files directly, so we can just kind of put them together from the NIF files. They're also much lower resolution, and they fit together much easier from what I've seen. There's not as much problem as in the self-intersecting meshes. It still requires a little bit of work to put together and get ready for 3D printing, but a little easier. So there's going to be a post coming soon, whenever we get around to finishing it, asking for all your character details. For ESO, there's a simple plugin we run that grabs all your character details, and then we're going to need your screenshot of your character creation settings so we can duplicate it. For the other games, we'll just have you send us your game files and list the mods, and we'll just do it ourselves. Monet just asked, can the figurines be NPCs instead of original characters? And yes. Yeah, so I'm going to say anything, but basically anything. Some things like, say, dragons from Skyrim might be a little more challenging. We're limited in size, but we're limited in size, but yeah, basically anything. Basically, just let us know. Say if you want a certain NPC or anything, just let us know, and we'll look into it. And if for some reason it's not possible, we'll let you know. Yeah, the meshes. Yeah, I don't know about copyright issues. These are like one time only, so we're not like mass producing them. But yeah, the ESO meshes are messy. Yeah, so yeah, Baratron just asked to make my post public. Yeah. So yeah, I'll make sure I'll make the post public. I'll check and see if some of the older posts can be made public as well. Just some more people that have been, so more people can get information on that. This video will be public eventually. Right now, it's Patreon only. I think in a week or two, I'll make it publicly available so anyone can see. But yeah, so the figurines, they came out really good. This is the Indrik. I think I chose the most complicated one to do first. It was probably a good idea. This was hard because it has a lot of like fur and translucent materials that you can't 3D print. It has a lot of other details that are thin that can't print. But overall, it came out really good. Really happy. Skylar had a question. I'll talk more about figurines in a bit, but Skylar had a question. As the unofficial pages, what is the relationship between you guys and the companies that make the games, like Bethesda and ZeniMax? Yeah, so the name Unofficial, I'm not sure who exactly came up with that. It's just, I guess, unofficial in terms that we're not linked to the official companies. I know that as some confusion in recent days where some sites are seen as more official than others. We're just unofficial in terms of we're not related to ZeniMax or Bethesda or anyone else. Mind you, we talk to the devs on and off. I try not to bother them too much, but we see them at well, not recently at game days, or email from time to time. But no, we're completely separate things. Yeah, I've heard of the Skyrim board game Call to Arms. Yeah, maybe. Not sure how they do it. They're probably licensed to make them, so they can mass produce them. We're sort of doing the characters thing one by one. Baratron was asking, are the 3D printed figurines solid, hollow, or supported something? They're solid. They may not be like completely solid. They might have like tiny solid, but they're not going to collapse. They're quite hefty. So when I made the models, I actually did three different types. I'm not sure if you can tell the difference there, as I have a complicated time doing the video. They probably look about the same, but I wasn't quite sure. I mean, if anyone's done any 3D printing, there's dozens or hundreds of different ways of 3D printing stuff, and I wasn't quite sure what was either the best way or the most cost effective. For example, this one is actually a hand painted one. It comes out black, so this is very, very cheap to print because it's all one color. But then you have to go and hand paint it. And no, I didn't hand paint it myself. I'm awful at that sort of thing. I had a what's the word? Mech warrior. Oh, anyway, the figurine painter do it for me. Unfortunately, that's relatively expensive. It turned out great. It looks great, but quite expensive. And then this is another 3D printing method. It's quite good, except it's rather brittle. So you see I'm missing some fingers on that one. So fine details on this one tend to break off. So I went with this 3D printing, which is, I don't know if you can see the staff. It's a little flexible. I actually broke the staff because I bent it too much, but it's a little flexible and it comes out really good. A little bit glossy, really fine details. So this is 3D color printed, and it's quite solid. And I have my little what is this, fox? He's a cute little guy. Yeah, 40K painters. That's it. I couldn't remember. Can I hold what up together? The three different types. Right, Baratron is just asking. So see if you can tell which one is hand painted. I can only tell by looking at them because, yeah, Fennec Fox. Yeah, so this one's the hand painted one. They're very similar. You probably get a little more detail. It's probably doesn't come out in the YouTube videos, but the detail on the 3D printed color ones is very fine. You actually get the pattern on his clothes printed, which I didn't think would come out. But and like the texture details on the staff is really quite nice. Unfortunately, Rourke Trolley Beards are a premium. They cost twice as much. Mane Lamia was asking, will there be posing options for the figures? A little bit. So this is when you capture the ones from ESO, this is the pose they get, sort of I don't know what you call it, natural pose. We can tweak it a little bit. The ones from Skyrim are a bit different. They come up with like a jumping jack pose, hands out, legs spread. So we'll have to adjust those somehow. But yeah, that will be said in the Patreon post if there's any specific pose, as long as it's not too complicated. But yeah, there'll be a little bit. yeah, I'm very happy about how they came out. A little worried about the amount of work that's going to be required to stitch the models together. I think I'm going to try looking for someone who knows how to do Blender better than I do. Um, one of my, I mean, I've done a lot of graphic stuff over the years, but uh, yeah, definitely not a Blender expert or yeah, T-pose. Yeah, unless you want your character in a T-pose, I mean that'd be easy for me. But yeah, I'm definitely a Blender newbie, so I might be looking for hire some people just to put it together. Sorry, stitch the models together for 3D printing, and they'll probably do it faster than I could, anyways, and cheaper, anyways. So so I think that's all the questions, at least all the things I wanted to mention. I don't see any further questions for this one. It's, yeah. Let me know if he's any good. I might hire him for a little bit, but, or maybe if I when I tell you what needs to be done, maybe you won't be interested. But uh, but yeah, I'm a little excited about what what characters people send me and how they look. The 3D printer that I used was really really impressed on these and really liked them. So looking forward to that. Uh, so yeah, that about wraps it up. Unless there's any more questions, I'm gonna wrap the live cast up for now. Um, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone who joined the live stream, and big thanks to all our patrons. If you like this live stream, like this live Q&A, let me know in the Patreon comments, and yeah, I might do another one in a month or three. A lot of fun, and you know, depending on what you guys like hearing, there's lots of stuff I could potentially talk about. A lot of technical stuff which might not be very exciting, but some people might like, and really depends whether my voice will last. Anyway, take care, have a great evening, and see you all on Patreon.